Hello everyone. Uh, can you guys see me? My my voice is audible. Yeah. So hello everyone. I welcome you for this talk. I hope everyone is safe because of this COVID-19 situation, and I thank Android makers for this opportunity. I today in this talk I would be talking about how you can use R8 uh, in your mobile application, specifically Android. So I'll tell you about myself. So I'm Siddhant. I am a software engineer at OMG, and we are our largest healthcare startups in India, currently serving more than 25 lakh customer. So I'll start my presentation now. I'll be sharing you the screens. You can check. Is my screen visible to you all, guys? Okay. Okay. So yeah. So today I'll be talking on how to shrink and secure and optimize your application with R8. So to start this, first we need to understand how R8 got evolved. To understand this, we'll look at this graph. As we all know, Dalvik bytecode is a fundamental part of most of our applications. So it rightly receives a lot of attention in the build process. We as developers write our code in Java or Kotlin, but Android devices expect only Dalvik bytecode. Now, ProGuard is made by a third party and it's aimed for Java in general, and it's not at all Android specific. So here there's a graph which tells us a traditional Java compiler compiles source code to Java bytecode. Then ProGuard can optimize this code by producing another Java bytecode that is smaller and faster than the previous one. And at the last, the text compiler can finally convert the Java bytecode to Java bytecode to Dalvik bytecode. But then this is a great solution for how you can reduce the memory size, the size of an application. But here there is a problem, which is longer build times. Now, in 2015, the Android team introduced a new technique called Jack Angel compiler for direct conversion of Java bytecode into text bytecode, and lastly text file. So what Jack Engine compiler do is they integrate the earlier four-step process, which was meant while using ProGuard, into a single step to convert direct source code into the text file. But it was not good a success because of growing technologies is not fitted for this. For example, there was no room for third-party plugins to do their transformations. For example, if you use Firebase Performance Library, so what Firebase Performance Library do is Firebase Performance Library include their own transformation while building an application. So if you were using Jack Engine compilers, this functionality you can't use. Now comes the text compiler, the new text compiler called D8. You remember the issue? You remember the issue of longer build times I told you in ProGuard? You'll be thinking why? Why longer build times? But whenever we use new Java language features like in Java 7, 8, or 9, Google uses a transformation called desugaring. So what desugaring actually means? So desugaring means converting our new Java features into something which can be understood by your old Dalvik or ART compilers. So this is a very important transformation that happens while building your application, because these days we use a lot of new Java language features like Lambda expressions and all, and this desugaring help Dalvik to understand what Java features are really saying. Now, now to solve the longer build time problems that I already told you earlier, Android team came up with a new DEX compiler called D8, which was a replacement for DEX compiler, and it was released as a default DEX compiler in Android Studio version 3.1.0 in March 2018. It was really a great leap ahead of how Java bytecode converts into Dalvik bytecode. The main idea was to eliminate the desugaring transformation and make it as a part of class to DEX compilation, leading for the faster build times. So by using D8, you will obviously get like 10 to 20% faster build times than using ProGuard. So this was a great tool for the developers while building the application. Now comes R8. So R8 is nothing but a new code shrinker from Google, and it's just a spin-off of D8 that aims to integrate the functionality of ProGuard and D8 together. Need to mention that R8 is not ProGuard. It's a new tool by Google that supports only a subset of the things that ProGuard does, and it is more Android specific. You remember that I told you that ProGuard is a third-party application, and it's focused mainly on Java and not Android specific. So here Google provides us a new tool which is similar to ProGuard, but it is more Android friendly and Android specific. So we'll go forward and learn more about this. So what is R8? The same thing, it's a new code shrinker from Google, and it's a spin-off for D8. And D8 and R8 share the same code base. The main point is it shares the same code base. And but there's a difference between D8 and R8, a huge difference. R8, as R8 is Android specific, it solves additional pains, developer pain. So I'll talk about this in a bit. Before that, if you want to enable R8 in your project, you need to add minify enable true in your app.build.gitl file. Now, so I was talking about the benefits of using R8, why it is Android specific. So one of the biggest Android pain is fragmentation. What I mean about fragmentation here is there are a huge number of devices that are running Android, which also vary in terms of hardware and vast variety of API levels. So there are some device manufacturers that we call OEMs that change how just-in-time compiler, the JIT compiler works, which result in devices to to behave in a different way altogether. So you don't know that what the device manufacturer has changed in their AOSP and an open source project, and what those projects will behave in the mobile. So one of the biggest improvement R8 bring is the optimization of our DEX code by leaving only the OP codes needed to support certain devices or API level in your application. Now wait here, what are OP codes? So OP code is nothing but a single instruction that can be executed by CPU. So in terms of machine language, it is a binary or hexadecimal value such as B6 loaded into the instruction register. So OP codes can be changed by different manufacturers, but R8 figure out what OP codes are needed, and it includes those OP codes only in the DEX code. So that is the first biggest benefit that R8 provide. Second thing, R8 is Kotlin friendly. How R8 is Kotlin friendly? We all developers love Kotlin as a language. As a language enables us to write beautiful and easy to read code. Unfortunately, the bytecode Kotlin produces contains more instructions than Java. So the instruction that I'm talking about here are the machine level instructions that you get when the Java code has been converted to the bytecode. So Kotlin causes more work to CPU than the good old Java. So here comes R8, which is more Kotlin friendly. For example, we'll take this simple Kotlin class, data class called display. Sorry. Yeah. So we are back. So yeah. So can you guys see now? Yeah. So we'll resume it. So now you can see there is a display info data class which only have three member variables called name, heading, and description. Okay. So here you can see if you compile your code without R8, so the bytecode that generates it has around 318 instructions that has been produced by text compiler. It will be less if we remove empty lines in between, but then also these are huge amount of instructions. But now with R8, if you compile your program with R8, as you can see, the total instructions produced by R8 are 267, and which are way less than what the text compiler has produced. So this is how the R8 help us in Kotlin. So now we'll talk about keep rules. Keep rules are nothing but a configuration language which ProGuard uses to tell the system what things to keep while shrinking your application. The same ProGuard tool was used by R8, and the same got forwarded to the same ProGuard tool was used by D8, and then same got forwarded to R8 because R8 also uses the same configuration language as ProGuard does. So now here, if you can see, I have mentioned a keep rule. So how you can mention a keep rule. So a keep rule can have different modifiers like allow shrinking and allow obfuscation with the class specification. So you can also specify classes or package names that you want the keep rule should work upon. So the class specification are nothing but the template of classes and its members. So it can be member names, it can be method names, anything. It can be field names, anything. Okay, so the classes specification can take classes, interfaces, and it can take constants, anything. Okay. So what is shrinking in R8? So R8 shrinking is a technique to shrink your app size. So R8 shrinking is majorly focusing on how to shrink your application size. Overall, R8 have three different shrinking techniques. So first technique is tree shaking, which is a technique to remove unused code. So how it will remove unused code? So what R8 do is it uses static analysis to remove unreachable code, the code that can't be reached, and remove uninstantiated object. Tree shaking is also a technique which majorly reduces the size of an application. So tree shaking is a major part which R8 runs, and it gives more benefit than any other techniques that R8 follows. The second technique is optimization for size. So the traditional compiler technique, which is dead code removal or maybe unused argument removal, are all covered into optimization for size technique. Third is minification, which is also called obfuscation. This in terms like in today's world, we can use it for security purposes. For example, what it does is it replaces very big class names with shorter names and reduces package name size. So suppose take an example. If I'm a developer, I have developed an application and I have put that application on the Play Store. Suppose some person have downloaded that application and try to deobfuscate that. So this minification help me as a developer to rename all the class names and make it shorter and change all the package names and all those things. So the different developer who's trying to deobfuscate my code will not be able to understand how my code is going to behave and how my code is going to run. You will not be able to understand which classes are what and all those things. So I need to add one more point over here. So there are when you create an application by using R8, there is a file that got created called mapping.txt file. Whenever R8 runs, it added all the renaming of the classes whichever mentioned, whichever R8 has done into that mapping file. So you can go and check that mapping file, that which classes mean renamed to what name. Okay. So now you can see this data which I have collected from Google I/O 2018, which shows the increase in app size during past 7 years. In an emerging market like India, size of an application matters. It really matters, because the lesser the size, the probability of increasing downloads will be more. And according to me, the lesser the size, faster will be the compile, install, and runtime of our application. So in emerging market like India, where are people, there are huge number of people who uses vast variety of phones from different hardware level. So if your application have a small amount of size, it will work better in smaller end phones, low end devices, like low hardware devices. So that's why the application size matters. So now it comes to how much you can save using R8. So here I have taken an example of small two-screen application, and you can see the difference straight away. Without R8, the app size is 2.5 MB, and after using R8, the app size got reduced to 1.2 MB. That is around 48% size reduction. But wait, this is not a good example for a real world app. So let's go to the next slide. So this is how much we save on a 1 mg production application that is on the Play Store. So we use R8 extensively in our 1 mg production application. So as you can see, without R8, the app size was 19.8 MB, and after using R8, our app size got reduced to 11.2 MB, which is around 56% size reduction. And so we are even like 20. I can tell you that we are like 20% lesser size with our peers. So like there are different companies that that do e-commerce in India. So we are lesser than that as well. So now comes the main portion: how shrinking works in R8. So R8 starts with the R8 starts the shrinking with the known entry point of an application. So this is very simple. So you can see this is a very simplified manifest file that tells you that the activity has a class main activity as its implementation. Now neither R8 nor ProGuard do understand manifest file, and they should understand, because there's a little tool which help us to understand them, called AAPT, Android Application Packaging Tool. So now what Android Application Packaging Tool do is, during your build, it will pre-process all the resources and it creates corresponding key rules for you. So now let's look at this keep rule which has been created by AAPT, and this is the first keep rule. So I'll be talking a bit about it in detail. It says we want to keep a class. It has a fully classified class name which came from the manifest file. There is something more here. Just the class name would only keep the class, but how you tell the system? But how the system will know that this class will also get instantiated later on? So you need to tell the system like this class will also get instantiated later on. To tell about that, we also have to keep the constructor, and that was this init line will do. So this init line will tell the system to keep the constructor and don't rename it, so the system will be able to create this object or instantiate its object. Now, beside these entry points that I have showed in earlier slide, there are a number of rules that are required for an Android application. So those number of rules are provided in Android SDK in this configuration file, which is located under ProGuard folder of SDK tool. So what you can do is you can go into your library directory. Inside library, you can go into your Android and then SDK and tools and ProGuard. So in the ProGuard folder, you have this automatically generated file which shows all the ProGuard rules that has been generated by your application, by your build process. So R8, which do static analysis, can't understand reflection. So this is the worst what you can say. So R8, which do static analysis, can't understand reflection. So we may need additional keep rules for reflection. So it may be for your own code or any library code, you need to add more keep rules. So now in this example, we have one user class which have two fields, only two fields, name and email. And there is a function called print user, which is creating an object of user and converting that object to string using JSON. We all use JSON. It's a library which converts from string or a string to any Java object and vice versa using reflection. So when you run this, the result will come as empty because these fields were supposed to read by JSON serializer, but JSON uses reflection and R8 has no idea about reflection. So now we add log to read the fields. Now we have the result with fields name A and B. But now why big? But now why? Because now the fields are both written and read. So it's not removed by R8, but renamed by R8 to a smaller name. So how to fix this? Now by adding this rule, so you can see the rule. Now adding this rule, which is telling R8, keep the class user and keep the fields name and email. So both are strings. So I'm also telling them those are public variables with the type string class. As you can see, the result is correct with the proper names because R8 now use this rule to keep the user class with all those member names. Now there's also a real example. If you have created any custom views in your project, so take an example of a custom view. So this custom view, you can create any custom view which object can be configured with different attributes in it. So to prevent R8 from removing all the getter and setters of the custom view class, we can use keep class member rules, which tell R8 if you're already keeping the class in custom view package, also keep these members and don't rename them. And what members we don't want to keep and what members we want to keep, sorry. So we want to keep getters and setter here. So for that only, I have created this, you can create this keep rule, which is mentioning a package name called custom views. Whatever classes, custom view classes that are present inside this package will be kept, and all the getter and setter methods which are required to create an object of a custom view class with different parameters will be kept. So this is what we use for custom views. So here comes for dynamic features. So nowadays app bundle, a lot of people are using app bundles, and it's a great thing that you use that you modularize your application a lot and you use dynamic features, and it would be easy for the user to download the smaller application, and also to and also for the developers to do on-demand delivery of a dynamic feature. So if you're developing a dynamic feature module for your application, please keep these things in mind, because I've worked upon these things and I have got into these problems. So that's why. So first of all, don't use minify enabled property, as it will give error saying dynamic feature module cannot set minify enabled to true. To enable minification for a dynamic feature module, set minify enabled to true in the base module. So this is the first thing that you need to do. Second thing, don't use default ProGuard Android optimize .text file, as it will throw eval issue exception. So this is the file that the AAPT tool generates for you. This is the automated generated file. Third thing, don't use shrink resources, as it cannot be used for multi-APK applications. So whenever so you can't use shrink resources within your dynamic features. Fourth thing, you can provide custom ProGuard rules with each dynamic feature module using the ProGuard files property in your build variant. So the same way in the base module where you use the ProGuard rules files with this ProGuard files property, you can also You can also tell the system while building the application, please use these ProGuard rules mentioned in the dynamic feature. So what this will do is this ProGuard rules are merged with those from other modules, including the base module at the build time. So while each dynamic feature module may specify a new set of rules, those rules apply at all the modules in the project. So whenever the dynamic feature APK will be created, so the ProGuard rules that you have supplied will be get merged into the base module, and the APK will be made accordingly. Now, for the library developers, there are things that you should carefully that you should do. So if you're a library developer, you should carefully provide keep rules. So it will benefit your library users. You should also invest time in keep rules while you build your library. So what you should do, you should think of the keep rules while at the start of starting the development of your library. So try using consumer ProGuard files in your build.gradle while shipping your R library. So what this consumer ProGuard files do is, whenever client application uses your library or AR file, whenever it tries to build, it copies those, it takes those keep rules that are mentioned in your consumer ProGuard files, and it merges those keep rules into the main project keep rules. And whenever the build process happens, so whenever the build process happens, it keeps mind all the keep rules that are mentioned in the consumer ProGuard rules. So the client side don't have to worry about anything specific, anything specific about it. And lastly, publish your rules in your library documentation, which will prevent users to go on internet and search for rules. It is better to publish all your rules on your library documentation, and it is even better to provide a consumer ProGuard file so that client side don't have to add any ProGuard rule of your library, of any specific library. So now, so these things, there are a couple of things obviously that RIT can't do. So first of all is RIT doesn't yet automatically recognize and handle simple cases of reflection, that the one I've already told you, the JSON parsing reflection case. The second thing, R8 can't yet rename class names and strings in resource files and in resource file names. So whatever class names that are there in strings and resource files that you use in XMLs, the R8 can't rename them automatically. Third thing, R8 doesn't yet rename inner classes according to Java standard. So these three things are still R8 can't do. Maybe in future they will provide some better functionality with these things. So now, according to me, these are some effective rules and tools that you can use while building your application. So first of all, don't just use -don't want asterisk, because what will happen is it may prevent you it may prevent from not showing any warnings, any build time warnings. But what it lacks is, it will also don't show the warnings that are really required while building your application. So better to use precise don't want rules with the package names. So suppose there are different kind of warning that are coming while building your application, so you can use -don't want with a particular package name. So it can be anything. So this is the first thing that you should make sure of. Second thing, the modifiers that I've already told earlier that you can use with the keep rules, like allow shrinking. So allow shrinking is a great modifier that you can use, which tells R8 to remove the file if not in use. So it will tell R8 that R8 will directly remove the file if the file is not in use by any of the code. But if R8 keeps it, means if the file is getting used by some other file, it will not rename or not optimize it. So this is what allow shrinking as a modifier provides us. There are other modifiers as well, as all include code and allow obfuscation. You can also use them according to your functionality and requirement. Third thing, Always use default ProGuard Android optimized.txt file from Android SDK tool and ProGuard location that I've told you earlier. Always use this because this makes a hell lot of difference. Because it automatically generates through those four entry points that I've told you. Fourth point, use Android Classy Shark by Google. So it's an open source tool to analyze your Android application. So it shows everything. It shows like method counts. It shows what are the reference methods, what are the method counts, how many interfaces and class names and everything. So it shows you everything that is related to your Android application. It also takes text file, .r file, .apk file, .so file, which is usually a native C++ code. So it tries to provide you a whole lot of experience of how your all those APK or R internally looks like. And lastly, you can use ProGuard GUI tool, which is also present in Android SDK tools. ProGuard inside ProGuard folder and inside lib folder. So there is this ProGuard GUI.jar tool that is already present in this path, which you can majorly use for everything that ProGuard does. So it is yet again it is Java specific. So I'm not telling you anything Android specific here. You can use jar, you can use APK, you can use zip file, you can use anything. And why I use ProGuard GUI majorly is to retracing obfuscated trace code. So whenever so suppose if you are using Firebase as a library to report any crashes in your application. So Firebase now, like a couple of months before they have launched this functionality that you can upload. You can keep the mapping.txt file in the application, and then they will automatically upload that mapping.txt file into their server, and then they will use that mapping.txt file to understand what is the stack trace is about. So if you are not using that, you can use this ProGuard GUI tool so that you will be able to understand the stack trace better. Okay, so these are the resources that I have followed till now in my career about R8, and that's it. Thank you everyone. Thank you for your time. I think this may help you in some manner. And if you have any questions, you can have. Yeah. Can you see the question list? Yeah. So the first question is, how can we debug a bug or crash coming from R8 or code shrinking? Yeah. So the thing that I've told you earlier, you can use ProGuard GUI tool, ProGuard GUI.jar tool that I have mentioned in the path, which is Android, which is your library Android SDK tools, ProGuard and lib. So inside the lib folder, there will be a ProGuard GUI.jar file. You just go onto a terminal, write javac -jar and the jar file name. It will run and it will ask you to put the mapping file that you have created while creating your application, and you have to copy paste the stack trace in the box which is present over there, and just retrace it. It will show all the retraced. It will deobfuscate the stack trace using that mapping.txt file, and you can see this. Okay, so my question, am I able to answer that question? Okay, so does R8 replace? So R8 replaces D8 or ProGuard? Do the ProGuard rule currently in place need to be updated? So no, not at all. So R8 doesn't replaces D8 or ProGuard. So it just replaces D8. It doesn't replaces ProGuard. So whatever ProGuard rules that you are currently using, you should keep it the way they are. What you can do is the way I told you that you can make it more better. So you can refine your ProGuard rules in a way that, suppose there is a class, and if you are having, suppose there are a lot of method names or maybe member variables that are there. So not to keep the whole class, you can precisely tell R8, okay, keep that class name and keep that member name. So you can tell the class, okay, you tell R8, okay, keep this name field or email field or whatever field that you want or whatever method name you want, and the R8 will only specifically keep those things. So it will overall reduce a lot of size. Okay, so that you can use. Next question is, in my app I use web use, which needed some resources saved in the application. Okay, how does R8 understand that a resource is actually not being used? Okay, this is an interesting question. In my app I use web views, which I need. Okay, so how R8 understand that the resource is actually not being used? So in this presentation, I have not told you how shrink resources works. So shrink resources also works after Minify enabled work. So you can also add shrink resources, true or false, whatever you want to do. So it works in conjunction with the Minify enabled. So once R8 compresses your code, and then this shrink resources tool will run. So what it will do is it will check the references of the XML or maybe the resources that has been used by your Java code, which has been converted to the DEX code. So it will check all the references. If any references are there, it will keep those resources. If the references are not there, it will not keep the resources. Okay. So that is how R8 will keep the resources. Yeah. So okay, one more thing I need to add on to onto the previous question. So in the XML file, you can use keep annotation, keep attribute. So you can use keep with the layout tag, and you can define multiple layout IDs to that. So that the R8 will know, okay, the R8 need to keep this layout the way it is. Okay. In trash static, how the stack traces will appear, obfuscated or normal. So yeah, so this thing I was talking about earlier. So Firebase has given us an option nowadays. Maybe a couple of months earlier they started it. So prior to Firebase, this functionality of Firebase, what we used to do is we used to build an application, and we used to use a keep rule called print mapping.txt file. Okay, so what it will do is it will create an application, it will create an APK, and it will also create a mapping.txt file. In the publish play console, what you will do is you will create a release, and in which you will upload an APK and also upload the mapping.txt file. So if you are using play console to check your crash track trace, what it will do is it will do the mapping.txt file that you have uploaded for the particular build, and it will show you the deobfuscated stack trace. So it will be easy for the developer to understand. But what happens in Firebase is Firebase wants you to not create the mapping.txt file. So it tells you that don't add that keep rule line, the line that you have added earlier, like print mapping.txt. So what it will do, whenever you build an application, and whenever the application get opened for the first time, and the Firebase automatically runs, and it creates a mapping, whatever mapping.txt file got created, it will upload that mapping.txt file into their server. And whenever any crash occurs, so those track traces will be deobfuscated by using those mapping files that has been uploaded by Firebase. So this is how you can see an deobfuscated stack trace on Firebase. Okay, so last thing, what is the better way to secure an R? So yeah, so as I told you earlier, if you are a library developer, so what you can do is, first of all, you need to add Progar tools that your app, that you are not like, what you can say. So suppose, take an example, you have created a library with some kind of functionality, and suppose you have created some kind of functionality called custom views. You have created custom views, a library of custom view. So you need to expose those custom view classes to the client side. So what you can do is you can create a consumer Progar file in which you can mention all the key rules that are required for your class for your classes, which will be which are exposed to a client. So what it will happen whenever the client uses your classes, any classes of yours, of your library, and it builds the APK. It uses your configuration from your consumer ProGuard rule file, and it protects it, like obfuscates all your code. But what happens if you have if you have your internal code? So while building your AR, you can use your own default ProGuard files property. So whatever classes that you are not exposing to your client, you can deobfuscate that. You can obfuscate that using your own ProGuard files attribute. So that will secure your AR in a way, and also reduce the size of an AR. It is better. It is also better for client adoption. So any other question? Do I answer all the questions? Yeah. Yeah, great. Great talking to you guys. Thank you very much. I had a great presentation with you all guys. All the best. Thank you.